Hello and welcome to this video. Today we are going to connect the projects to a Postgres database, and for that we are going to use the PG module for Node. So I'm gonna install it using yarn add pg, and after it's done I will initialize the project again. So to make it work, I'm gonna get something from PG. I'm gonna get the pool. So this is the easier way to create a connection with this module. We just need to get this class and instantiate it. So we're gonna create a variable with the same name and instantiate this class, and here pass inside this object something called connection string. So this connection string is a string that contains our connections credentials, like the user and the password and all of it. So we're gonna copy this and edit it. So my user is going to be Postgres, my secret password is going to be 123, my host is going to be localhost. My port is the default Postgres port, which is this one, and my database name would be cars. So that's pretty much what we need to connect to our Postgres. So that's, I'm passing this way because JavaScript works in this way. It could be like this, because we attribute this attribute will be this value, but the both are the same, we can just hide it. So, and to make it work with our database, I'm going to open my PG admin and create this database called cars that I've mentioned here. So after I created that, I will go to my query tool and create the first table. So I'm gonna use the command create table car, and here I'm gonna create the ID. I'm gonna give the varchar, which is the primary key. I'm giving the varchar property because I'm gonna use the unique ID schema for this. But it's not done yet, but we're gonna do this. And also the name is going to be varchar as well, and also not null, and the price, which will be float, and also not null. So after that we can it returns successfully, and we can see the table on schemas table card. And the first thing now I'm going to do is to go to my cars function, and instead of returning this array, I'm gonna return data from database. So I'm gonna use the pool dot query, and here we can fetch whatever thing we want from database with pure SQL. So we're gonna select everything from car, and we can get a callback function here with the error and the result, and here we can log the result for instance. And I'm gonna go to localhost GraphQL again and fetch the cars. It's not returning anything because we are not returning anything here too, but you can see that it returned undefined, so something went wrong. So instead of returning the result, I will return the error, and the authentication failed because I gave something wrong. Oh, my password is 123 instead of 1234, so that's what went wrong. So I'm gonna change it to result again, and I'm gonna fetch data, and it returns a giant object containing the fields and the row count. But in this case, we're going to need just the rows, which is the actual data from the database. And I'm gonna fetch again, and we have an empty array, and that's expected because we created the table, but we don't have any data here, as you can see. But I'm going to insert a value. So insert into car, pass the ID, the name, and the price, and the ID I'm gonna use a random string for now, and the name I'm gonna give Ferrari, and the price 100 whatever. And here you can see that we have our Ferrari here. And if we fetch again on our GraphQL, we can see that it returns our Ferrari. So something we can do here is, instead of using this callback function, we can use async await, and it's going to be easier to return the data to the function. So the way we do that, it's attributing the async properties to the function somewhere here. Actually, it's to the function. So yeah, here we attribute the async to cars function, and instead of using this callback, we can say that, for instance, result is equal query pool dot query select everything from car, and we are going to await this value, and we need to return something to our function in order to see the values here. So we just return result.rows, and there's something we need to change here. Notice that we are using int for ID, but we created as a string, so we need to change this for string too. And it worked. And if we type ID, you can see that we bring the ID. If we ask for price, it's going to bring also the price. So the first step is done. We now need to create a other table for users.